Hi, I'm Alan Maceo with the Live Better, Explore More podcast, and I have a special guest today, Drake Cunningham, the Executive Director of Rebuilding Petaluma Together, but also he served as one of the Grand Marshals for the Petaluma Butter and Egg Parade this year.
Welcome to the Live Explore podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit like and subscribe.
Welcome, Drake.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me how you got here.
I'm originally from Baltimore, moved here about 20 years ago, lived in the city for a couple of years, and moved up to Petaluma. I love it here. I'm a builder, retired contractor, and I did a lot of high-end construction down in San Francisco, Marin County, with some big budgets. And so part of what I needed to do to feel better, I think that I was contributing more, was to help out folks who couldn't afford it. So I had a friend on the board of Rebuilding Together who suggested I come in and talk to him about helping out. When I met with Jane Hamilton, who was the executive director, we spent about an hour talking. She said, I think you need to be on our board.
There's the hook.
There's the hook, yes. So I spent 6 years on the board. The last 2 as president of the board. And when Jane decided she wanted to retire, we started looking for a new executive director. And she started nudging me that she thought I would be a good director. So she nudged for long enough, and I said, "Oh, fine, okay." Actually, no, I was very enthusiastic about it. It was a very intriguing challenge that I'm very glad I took.
Great. So how has it served so far? I mean, have you found it to be kind of what you thought it would be, or has it been something different?
Actually, it's been more than I thought it would be.
Oh, fantastic!
When I considered the position, I know the mission. Our mission is to repair homes, revitalize communities, and rebuild lives. And we've been around for 26 years now, of doing a lot of critical repairs and home modification for low-income homeowners. That's seniors, veterans, people with disabilities. And in Petaluma, that's predominantly seniors, because we have a large senior population. Right. A lot of them have been priced out of the community, out of residential homes. A lot of them are in the 55-plus mobile parks. So we have 7 mobile parks in Petaluma. Rebuilding Together services a lot of them for those critical repairs and modifications.
How does somebody go about, if I was a senior, right? How do you go about choosing whose home you do the repairs on?
Okay. Well, first of all, we accept applications from folks or phone calls or we expressed interest, and we give them an application to fill out. It is income-based, low-income qualifier based on HUD standards, and then we do serve based on priorities. So if someone's water heater goes out, they're very high priority. If there's a roof leaking during the rainy season, high priority.
Right.
We prioritize them, and we take care of them as our funds allow. Some years we have more funds than others.
Perfect. So that requires a lot of volunteers, I think, or some volunteers.
It does. Right.
How many volunteers ideally do you have? And are you looking for more volunteers?
Okay. Always looking for more volunteers. We do have about 600 active volunteers.
Wow.
And in a population of 60,000, that's pretty good.
That's really good.
We get a wonderful response from the community. On a big work day, so we have our 2 big work days, spring and fall. April and October, we do a work day. And we can get anywhere between 100 to 200 volunteers for those days. We also do year-round projects that come up very frequently that are both things that contractors need to do for us, like a water heater replacement, right, and or volunteer projects like yard cleanup, grab bar installation, things like that we can have volunteers doing for us.
Okay, as a volunteer, what types of skills do I need to have?
The only skill we really require is that you know how to follow directions and be safe. Actually, we work out our days so that there's something for everyone to do, regardless of skills levels. What we really benefit from are people who have skills with carpentry, right, minor plumbing, electrical stuff, flooring. The other things like roofing, major electrical things, major plumbing, we hire licensed contractors to do those. But for people who don't have those sorts of skills, there are also, when we have a project and there are 20 volunteers on site, we not only can take care of repairing their deck if they need it, but we can also clean off their siding, take care of weeding or planting for them. Part of our mission is not just to do those critical repairs, but also to revitalize the community. So we can do some beautification while we're there. Part of that, all that helps the homeowner sort of feel better, get more of a wonderful experience from the community. And it gives our volunteers a chance to really be able to serve. So if someone doesn't feel comfortable with a circular saw, then we can give them a weed puller thingy.
Right, something else.
Yeah.
I did Elise and I volunteered on a property on Post Street. And it was fascinating to see that many people all doing stuff, like worker ants is what it looked like, right? I mean, there were people all over the property just doing things. And I thought it was fantastic the way that many people could actually move in the same direction, right? I mean, that's, to me, as a volunteer, that was fun to see because I didn't feel like you had 20 people standing around watching. Right. Everybody was actively doing something, which was great. You mentioned today you did something, you were putting benches in at Schollenberger. So that doesn't sound like a low-income housing.
No,
right?
That's part of our community revitalization. So the first part of repairing homes is more for the homeowners. The other part of our mission is doing things for the community. So it'd be working in the parks. It'd be planting trees with relief. As you know, we've done that for the past year. We've planted, I think, about 900 trees in public parks in the past year. I personally augured most of those holes myself.
Oh, good God.
Part of and that was another project where we had 100 to 200 volunteers show up to plant trees.
Wow.
Another one where it doesn't matter what your skills levels are, we can find something for you to do.
That's fantastic. So the benches, like in Schollenberger's kind of that's a big park.
It is.
Okay. So what, like, you plant trees there also, or do you mostly benches and things along?
Schollenberger's more benches. In the past, we've done cleanups with the Wetlands Alliance.
Okay.
But today was replacing the benches. Some of the original benches were about 20 years old. They were memorial benches, and as they deteriorated from being wood,
right,
we're swapping them out with recycled plastic benches that should last. They have a 50-year guarantee, so they should last.
There you
longer. Go. So this morning it was literally John Shribs and I out there assembling the bench and fastening it to the concrete slabs. Nice.
Now, do you do any of the trail that from the main the park, right, Schollenberger? It's like that 2.1 mile loop. Does Rebuilding Together Petaluma have anything to do with like the trail, like making sure there's rock or?
Right. Well, we assist. So the Petaluma Wetlands Alliance does take care of the trail maintenance, and then we will send in volunteers on those days. We'll announce it. And what we've done in the past is hopefully they're coordinated with one of our big work days. So if we have extra volunteers, if we have a project where we do have some people standing around and say, hey, you know what, why don't you head over to Schollenberger and they're waiting for you over there, and we'll do some trail maintenance.
Nice. Do you take care, like when you go to other parks aside from Schollenberger, are you taking down some trees, like maybe trees that have lived their life?
Somewhat, not in the parks, more on the private property. So the tree removal would be probably the city would do that with proper licensing and insurance and stuff.
How many applications do you get a year from our community?
Yeah,
roughly.
Roughly, probably about 100 to 150.
Wow.
At different levels. Some, we serve between 50 and 100 homes each year, not including the nonprofit organizations. So we also service those facilities like PPSC, where this past April Workday, we came in and tore up all the old flooring, all the old carpeting.
Right.
And then we're going to have Tri-County Flooring come in and install new laminate flooring. So it's nice and hygienic and easy to clean, and some folks who work there stopped yelling at me.
Wouldn't be a short lady named Elise?
Yeah, it might be.
I won't say a word.
Yes. This past fall, we renovated the bathrooms at the Boys and Girls Clubs at Petaluma. So the commercial bathrooms with the partitions and flooring and stuff. So those organizations that serve that part of the community that we also serve, we help to keep their buildings in good shape so they can do the things they do.
Okay, so you bring the material, right? You've got the volunteers. So how do you get your funding?
Funding, that's a good question. We get a nice large grant from the city of Petaluma through HUD. So it's a community development block grant.
Okay,
It accounts for about half of our current budget.
okay.
We also get wonderful support from donors from the community, and I write grant applications all the time.
Oh my
So
God.
we get Community Foundation of Sonoma County supports us. Wells Fargo. So Wells Fargo is a good example of some of those team building projects that we do with corporations, where they'll sponsor a house or a project and have some of their volunteers come. We'll send some of our volunteers and some of our skilled volunteers to sort of lead the program.
Okay.
And then we are always, always, always looking for donations.
So if I wanted to donate, how do I do that? Where do I send it? Do I contact somebody? Do I go online and you have a vehicle online that, here, just click here, put in your banking information?
I do. rtpetaluma.org.
Okay.
Take you where you need to go. And our office number, which I don't have memorized yet, is 707-765-3944. And our incredible program manager, Mary Ann Curtis, will certainly help you with that.
So just so you can see, this is Drake and Mary Ann Curtis posing as the Grand Marshals.
And Mary Ann made that green coat for me.
No kidding.
Yes, as soon as we heard that that we were going to be Grand Marshal, she was like, "I have the perfect idea." So they said, hey, you have to be the wizard. I was like, well, you know what? The wizard is kind of a fraud. I said, but you know who I'll be? I'll be the gatekeeper to the land of Oz. And I thought that was.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I thought that was a little more apropos to the work we do and the service we're trying to provide.
That's fantastic. When's the next big project? We just passed it, right?
We just paid
All
April
right.
15th.
So now you got the October one?
October,
Okay.
mid-October sometime.
Do you already have the properties that you're going to?
We have some, yeah. So what we do is, as the applicants come in and they get prioritized, what we will look for are those things that need to be taken care of immediately, and those things that we can have volunteers do. Or if we get a comprehensive project, like the one you worked on, where I can have 20 volunteers doing things all over the place.
Right.
Then we'll take care of what they need immediately, and then we'll assign the rest of it to a work day.
So in April and October, roughly how many properties on average do you tend to cover?
We try not to go over about 12. Early on in Jane's career, Jane and Victoria O'Reilly, who was the program director back then, one of their first times, I believe they said they did about 19 projects on one workday, and it almost killed them.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's just too much. So we figured about 12 is tops. This past April, we did 8 projects, and then we now have a flex crew that we signed to go around and just do small things like grab bars or tighten handrails, and they actually hit 4 more houses while we were at it. We're also collaborating with the Petaluma Fire Department, so they come in and check smoke detectors on all the properties that workday. They'll come and make sure they have new batteries and or install new detectors.
That's fantastic. So between April and October, you're hitting, obviously today you went and put benches up at Schollenberger. So on a monthly basis, average, how many properties do you hit between April and October?
Oh, probably 5 to 6 properties every month that we do stuff for. Some of them span more than 1 month, but the real sort of the real work, the real part that we raise funds for is all that stuff in between those work days. That's the new roofs, or not new roofs, but replacements of roofs, replacements of furnaces and water heaters, and things that we need trades folks to do.
Wow, that's fantastic. So that's what you got. So you're talking 10 in October, 8 or 12, right? In April.
In April.
Roughly 12 in October, and then 5 a month. That's a lot of houses you're hitting.
It is.
Okay. And then from the parks, how often do you hit a park?
Well, usually those were on the work days when we have the large number of volunteers available. But since last year, since we started collaborating with Relief, with Relief it was probably 1 a month or more.
you were
through the
hitting.
planting season. We were planting a couple hundred trees each time.
Where do you get the trees from?
Well, they get them through. I won't say the name correctly, but they're looking around for deals.
Okay, they have a source.
Nursery, Blue Mountain, Devil Mountain Nursery, I think is their current source.
Okay.
And then they have a group. I think there's about 5 people on their board that are landscape architects, arborists, and things.
That doesn't hurt.
Not at all.
Is there a certain type of tree, or is it like we can get a deal on these trees and they'll work, or?
No, it's exclusively natives.
Okay.
And then there's a pattern of which trees where in the soil, near the water, how they're mixed up, how they're bunched together.
Wow.
It's all worked out in advance. Actually, worked out with the city, because these are, for now, it's in the city parks. There are plans to try to get into some private residences too. They want to plant 10,000 trees in Petaluma. Wow. And I think we're nearing about 1,000, so we still have a ways to go.
You got a lot more holes to auger.
A lot more holes to auger.
Exactly. All right. Tell me about being the Grand Marshal. And now, Mary Ann Curtis was also one of the Grand Marshals, or was it you?
Well, Rebuilding Together Petaluma was the Grand Marshal.
Okay.
Yeah,
So it was
the whole organization was being recognized.
Nice.
The theme was No Place Like Home. And, of course, our mission of keeping people in their homes was just
perfect.
Slam dunk.
Perfect fit.
To Marie.
How did you enjoy it? Was it kind of like a little overwhelming? What was your take?
It was wonderful. It was great. I already knew from being around Rebuilding Together for so long how much the community loved the organization, and walking through town and just waving to everyone and seeing so many people. I mean, I think it was 35,000 people this year.
It's crazy big.
Ridiculous. And I probably knew half of them.
That's fantastic.
It was just waving and waving, and it felt so welcoming.
Nice.
Which makes it very worthwhile. I mean,
I'm going to ask this question. Did it give you a bump in funding? I mean, did you get more donations from it?
Not directly from it.
Okay.
Yeah. But let's see what happens.
Exactly. It's still early. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Listen, let's go back to funding. So your office number is 707-765-3944. And that's the number that Mary Ann Curtis would answer?
She will answer it.
Okay. What'd you call? She's the project manager?
She's project manager.
Okay, perfect. And then is there a website that they could also go to?
There is, rtpetaluma.org.
Okay, perfect.
Which
go ahead.
Also has a link to our upcoming projects, volunteer opportunities, donations, history. We are an affiliate of a national organization. So there are 120 Rebuilding Togethers around the country.
Wow.
So there's information from them. This program started in the early 70s in Texas.
Okay,
and
so
just grew.
Oh, I didn't realize there was that many.
Yeah.
So when I go to the website, if I want to volunteer, I can click on a link and sign up?
Yes, yeah. Okay. What'll come up is a page of all the opportunities. So we have Momentum, which happens every first or second Saturday of every month, which is an outreach effort of ours where we do lawn care service for seniors.
Okay.
They don't need to go through the income pre-qualification or anything. They just need to let us know that they need assistance with their yards. And we have groups of volunteers that come in. We are really promoting having teenagers there. So we can give them community service hours for graduation. And
there you go.
And what it does for us is it helps us get through that wall of isolation that some folks have. It gets us introduced to people. It gives us an intergenerational experience.
Yeah.
And it gives us an opportunity to share with them what other services we can provide.
Have you had any seniors, obviously right now would be too late, but come to you and approach you about doing their senior project?
Not yet. We do have an intern with us this summer who's going to Cal, who wants to learn grant writing and learn how nonprofits work because he wants to go into policy and nonprofit.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes. So seniors in high school could get their hours that they're supposed to volunteer, right?
Yeah.
But also somebody could actually try to do their senior project through you.
They certainly could. They certainly could. And I'm still advocating. I would love to have a youth representative on our board of directors.
Have you pitched to any of this, like the 2 high schools that are here?
The
3?
We've reached
4?
out to a couple of the the key group and all, but not quite formally yet. Because we
Okay.
had a couple of candidates who we were very interested in, and they're just overwhelmed with their studies.
Right. Yeah, no worries. I think that's a fantastic opportunity for somebody.
We do have one of our newest board members is a senior who actually lives in Petaluma Estates Mobile Park. So
Nice.
Nicola Fry is she lives in the community that we directly serve.
Right.
And she's been instrumental in bringing awareness to a lot of things. She helped get our Momentum program running. We put out the call that we wanted to come in and do some lawn care service for seniors. We had a little flyer. She called the next day and said, "I have 30 people lined up for you."
Oh, good God.
Yes, and she's been a whirlwind since.
When you look for board members, what is it, what's the process if somebody's interested in being on the board? What's the process?
So far, we have a board member will sort of reach out to them and do a sort of an initial interview to see
Okay.
how interested they are. Then there is an application process where we ask what sorts of things they're interested in about, what they know about us,
Right.
whether they've been involved. Let them know who we're looking for to fill out, so we have a nice rounded board. And then they interview with 2 to 3 of our board members. I meet them. Once the board members say they like them, I'll meet them just to let them, just so we get a sense of who each other are. They get invited into a board meeting to introduce themselves to the whole board. They leave, we vote, they come back the next time.
Perfect. And now, if I wanted to, can I go onto the website and start that process if I'm not on the board and I want to be considered for the board? Or do I call Mary Ann and
Probably call in first. Yeah, we will.
Okay.
So we're still putting together our official packet.
Okay.
But it will include that for membership for the board.
what do what is it that you, as the executive director, need most for Rebuilding Together Petaluma?
Well, of course, money. Of course, the donations and funding. But then the other thing is we are expanding service. So for the past 25 years, we've only served inside the city of Petaluma. This past year, we got a grant from USDA that will allow us to do rural unincorporated areas. So we can actually do those areas around Petaluma that are outside the city limits, which, of course, in Petaluma, it doesn't take very long before you're outside of city limits.
That's right.
Also, we have that so many volunteers that we know many of them actually live outside of the city limits. So their neighbors may not qualify for our services, or they may not be eligible to get our services. So now with this grant, we can. So we are focusing on outreach into those communities.
What type of work would you do? I'm thinking, is it a working ranch? Is it just somebody who has 10 acres? It's not a working ranch or farm.
It's about housing. It's
Okay.
about if they do need to be low income still, even for this USDA
Okay.
grant. It's a housing preservation grant.
Okay.
They do not have to be homeowners, but they do need to have a lease that they and understanding. They've been there for a while, established homestead. And then it's the same sorts of things. It would be critical repairs, modifications, preservation stuff. Same sort of idea of keeping people in their homes, letting seniors age in place, people with limited mobility, giving them freedom to move around, get in and out of their houses.
That's fantastic. So let's go over this again. The number to Mary Ann, 707-765-3944. And the website address is?
rtpetaluma.org.
Fantastic. Is there anything else that you want people to know, whether it's you're a need or it's just, like, I didn't know there were 120. There's 120 around the country. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right? I had no idea. So is there anything else that you think, hey, I'd like everybody to know this?
We are developing some fee-for-service programs. So it's very possible that in the very near future, we will be taking over the graffiti abatement for the city of Petaluma.
Oh, nice.
I was actually in the garage last Monday priming over the stairway, the graffiti in the stairwells. And so that'll be a fee-for-service program that we're working in collaboration with Downtown Streets team,
Okay.
giving them some job training. We're also painting curb addresses on the front curbs in the mobile parks. So in the residential neighborhoods, we all have our street address out on
Right.
the curb. mobile parks, because they're privately owned, aren't required to do it. So if they have been done, it's been a long time and they're not
Right.
visible. So the police department and fire department asked us if we could take on this project for first responders, because we know folks who live in there who say they watch ambulances drive a circle around
Trying
the
to
park,
find the
trying to
place.
find the right address.
Now, the fee for service, is that also a revenue stream for the organization?
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope
okay.
So that'll be multifaceted. So it'll be for the curb painting. It would be if the resident can afford to pay whatever it is. I think it's $20 to have it done. Then we'll do that. Fire department's offering a little grant to us. We'll be fundraising for it from the community. So all these sorts of things are sort of compounded.
How do you fundraise for that? I mean, what type? How? I mean, I'm just trying to understand it, because that could be, somebody could say, here's $100 to go do 5 houses, right? Is that, so? How are you going to do that? Have you figured out that process?
We're sort of working on it now.
Okay.
It'll be telling the stories. It'll be sharing that. Did you know that the response time to your house is 3 minutes? The response time to a mobile home can be 7 to 8 minutes because the ambulance can't find the home.
Oh my God!
Help us.
Yes.
Help us help us take care of that. Help us, and it's very much about sharing that the folks who live there are our parents and grandparents.
Exactly.
Or they're the grandparents and grandparents of children that live on the other side of the country and can't provide these things.
Right.
So we're filling that gap.
Great. That's fantastic. Drake, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming in. And I think you look good in green.
I didn't know until I had that on. It's a great jacket. I love it.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Thank you.